welcome to Wednesday on the Hook. We are starting a new project today, and I am so excited about this. I've had several requests on this. So we are going to make a corner-to-corner blanket. Now, if you've been following along with us, we just spent the last 4 weeks making a baby set. We made booties, we made a bonnet, and we made a baby sweater. And so we were going to make a baby blanket to go along with our baby set, or you can do it something completely separate as a separate project or gift. But I had a lot of requests for how to do a corner-to-corner blanket. So today we're going to start a baby corner-to-corner blanket. So this will be a 4-week process. We will begin our blanket by doing all of our increasing rows. Then week 2, we will do the middle section of the blanket. Week 3, we will do the decreasing rows. And then on week 4, we will finish our corner-to-corner baby blanket up by creating a border for it. So if you're ready to get started, I'll meet you over at the craft table. In order to get started with our corner-to-corner baby blanket, we need to go over a couple of items that you're going to need. You will need a pair of scissors. You will need a yarn needle. You will need a hook. Now your hook is going to be determined by the type of yarn that you're using. Now I am going to be using the Bernat Baby Coordinates in the colorway Cotton Candy. I purchased this at AC Moore. It's normally $5.29 a skein, and I got it for $3.51. Now, if you're familiar, AC Moore stores have closed and they have been bought out by Michaels. So Michaels does sell this yarn and colorway if you're wanting to use the same colorway. Now, the hook that is recommended for this yarn, and recommended just means a suggestion, would be a 4mm size G hook. For this tutorial, I'm going to actually increase my hook size by 1 size, and I am going to use the H hook, which is the 5.5mm. That is the hook that I am choosing to use. So again, your hook will be based on the type of yarn that you're using, the recommendation that they offer, or whatever hook you choose. But for this tutorial, we will be using a H hook. I've already gone over the yarn with you, but just a couple more things about it. It is a light 3 weight yarn. It is 71.2% acrylic, 25.6% rayon, and 3.2% nylon. It is machine washable and dryable, and there is 120 grams or 4.25 ounces in this skein. This is the same yarn that I used to make the baby set in our last work along series that we did, and so I'm going to use the same type of yarn to go along with the baby set. Now, the reason that I am choosing to use a little bit larger hook, I used a F hook on the baby set, is I just want there to be a little bit of a variation in the size of the stitches between the baby set and the blanket. So please do not let that confuse you, but if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. So if you're ready to get started, we are going to start with a slip knot. And before we get completely started, I'm going to show this yarn once again up close. If you'll notice, running through the strands, there's a shiny silver strand. When I'm making my stitches, I have to be careful and make sure that I am grabbing that as well. Sometimes you can see a little bit here, not really, but sometimes it separates itself a little bit. There's some that you can see where it's kind of off the yarn a little bit. So you have to make sure that you're not going in between that and the yarn. Otherwise, it pulls it away from the yarn. There's one that's kind of right there. So you have to just really be careful. Otherwise, it'll make your work look sloppy. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention as I work with this yarn, so that if you've never worked with this type of yarn, that you'll understand that, but also that sometimes during the tutorial, I may have to back out of a stitch to redo it just so that I'm catching that silver strand. So we're going to start off by chaining 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. After we have chained 6, we are going to start creating our first block. The corner to corner blanket is made by creating blocks. And the number of blocks you have per row will be the number row that you are currently working on. And you'll see that more as we get started. All right, so we're going to skip over to the 4th chain from the hook, and we're going to work a double crochet. So we're going to go ahead and wrap our yarn, and we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and 4. So in that 4th chain from the hook, we're going to go ahead and create a double crochet. And we're going to work a double crochet into the next 2 chains. And just in case we have some newcomers who are going to try and give this corner to corner blanket a go, we welcome you. We do a double crochet by yarning over. You insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 hoops, and that is a double crochet. And we're going to do one in the very last stitch as well. So yarn over, insert your hook into that last stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through the last 2 loops. And you have completed row 1, and you have 1 block in your blanket. So now we're going to come grab the first block that we did, and we're going to flip it so that the corner is facing up. The chain 3 that you did on the first block, you want it to be on the left side. Now you'll see this a little bit better after we complete this next little step. So we're going to slip stitch right between that chain 3 and that double crochet stitch right there. So we're going to come in and we're going to slip stitch. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to work 3 double crochets right into that same space. So go ahead and work your 3 double crochets. And this completes row 2. Get some more yarn here. Okay. So now on this row, you have 2 blocks. You have 1 and 2. You can see how your blanket is starting to take shape. This is the corner, and this here is starting your blanket to go this way, and this block is starting your blanket to go up this way. So we're going to go on to row 3. We are going to chain 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Again, we're just going to let this fall to the bottom here, and we're going to work our next block into our chain 6. We're going to work a double crochet into that 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to go right in here and work our first double crochet. We're going to go into the next stitch and we're going to work a double crochet. And we're going to go into that last stitch of the chain and we're going to work a double crochet. And that completes that block that we've increased on this row. We're now going to flip our work up again. Sorry. There we go. How to get my yarn back out there. All right, so we're going to flip it up again so that it looks just like this. And we're going to do that slip stitch, chain 3, and then 3 double crochet just like we did before. So we're going to come right over here on this block here, and we're going to come to that chain 3 space, and we're going to, let me tighten my yarn back down. We're going to slip stitch right into that chain 3 space. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to work 3 double crochets right into that chain 3 space. And this is going to create the second block for row 3. And 2, and 3. And now we're going to make the third block for row 3. And we're going to do that by sliding all the way over to that chain 3 space, insert your hook, work a slip stitch, and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Work 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. And now you have 3 blocks for row 3. 1, 2, 3. And you can see more how your blanket is starting to shape. You've got your side forming here, and you've got the bottom of your blanket forming here. All right, let's go on to row 4. We are going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And just like we've been doing, we're going to let this kind of fall. We're going to work a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3. Whoops. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to work that double crochet. The finer your yarn is, sometimes the harder it is to see your chains, especially if you make them really small. You don't want them to be so big that it gives the block a sloppy look, but you don't want it so tight either that you can't get in or that you have a hard time seeing it. And then we're going to go right into that 6th chain to make our 3rd double crochet. And there is block 1 of row 4. Okay, we're going to flip our work. And then we're going to slip stitch right into this chain 3 space. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to work 3 double crochets right into that chain 3 space, and 2, and 3, and that completes the second block for row 4. We're going to go make the third block by sliding over to the chain 3 space of the next block, working a slip stitch. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to work 3 double crochets into that chain 3 space. 1, 2, and 3. And that completes the third block for row 4. You can see them, 1, 2, 3. And let's complete the last and the fourth block for row 4. We're going to slide right on over to the chain 3 space, and we're going to do a slip stitch to join the blocks together. We're going to chain 3, which creates the chain 3 space that we work in when we're working and adding a block to the next row. And we're going to do 3 double crochets into that chain 3 space that actually creates the block. 1, 2, and 3. Whoops. And that completes the fourth block for row 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So now you can kind of see what I meant. However many blocks are in your row, that's what row you're on. So you don't really have to have any kind of stitch counter or row counter, because you can actually count the blocks and see. And you can see even more how the blanket is forming. So let's do row 5 together. Now rows 5 through 30 are going to be just a repeat of row 4. So we're going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to let our work fall, and we're going to work into our chain 6 to create the increased block to begin row 5. So we're going to skip to the 4th chain from the hook. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to go right into that 4th chain, and we're going to work a double crochet. We're going to work a double crochet right into the next stitch. And then we're going to work a double crochet right into the next stitch. And that is your first block of row 5. We're going to flip our work. And one way to know that your work is in the right direction for creating your blocks is your foundation tail is going to be in the corner like it would be if you were going straight across making your rows. So that's a good way. Now, I was teaching someone how to make this corner to corner blanket off camera, and what kept confusing them is when you flip your work, it feels like that this block then twists the work, okay? And it is going to, because you're creating your row like this. So when you're flipping your work, because here you finish, let's tighten this down so you can see it better. So you've created that block in that chain 6. And when you flip your work, It does create a little bit of a twist right here, but it's supposed to, so that you then can join your 2 blocks right here. So let's do that. And so after we've flipped our work, we're going to join by slip stitching into that 3rd chain, or that chain of 3 in the next block. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to work 3 double crochet to actually create that block, and 2, and 3. Now let's go back and look at these. And the reason I waited till row 5 to explain this a little bit more was so that you would have more of a visual to actually see. So see, when you actually create that block, and I'm going to pull this out so I can take my hook and get it out the way. You can't even really tell that it's twisted. And then later when you put a border on it, you're definitely not going to tell, but you can't tell anyway. Okay? And it helps it to lay flat. The other thing I want to go ahead and show you is the reason I went up 1 hook size bigger than the recommended for this yarn is, as you can see now, it gives it a little bit more of a bigger block, and it's going to have a little bit more of a fuller look. It's still going to be a very lightweight blanket because this is a lightweight yarn, but it's still going to have a kind of a puffy, fluffy look to it. The stitches are not so tight, and it's going to be very pretty. It's going to be a nice little, you know, lightweight blanket. All right, so let's go make the next block. And we're going to do that by slip stitching right into that chain 3 of that block. We're going to chain 3. And we're going to work 3 double crochets right into that same chain 3 space. So 1, 2, and 3. All right, and you've completed the 3rd block of row 5. So let's go work on the 4th block. We're going to slip stitch right into that chain 3 space of the next block. We're going to chain 3, and we're going to work 3 double crochets right into that chain 3 space. And 2, and 3, and there is block 4 of row 5. And let's make our last block. We're going to slip stitch right into that chain 3 space of that block. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to work 3 double crochets right into that chain 3 space. 1, 2, and 3. And you have completed row 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks on that row. And you can really see how your blanket is coming together. You can see that this is definitely the corner. This is the bottom side running this way, and here is your side running up. You also should have a good bit now to hold on to, so it should make it a whole lot easier. All right, so let's start row 6. But before we do, I forgot something very important, and so we are going to hydrate our hands. Now sometimes I will actually put lotion on my hands several times throughout working on a project, depending on how long I'm working on it. If I'm working, a long time, then I will lotion my hands several times, because the lotion helps keep the yarn sliding over the hands. It keeps the hands pliable, and to me, it helps my hands move a little bit better and keeps them from cramping and becoming sore. Because when they're dry, the skin's getting tight, it tends to cramp my hands up. But if I keep them moist, I have found that my hands hurt a lot less, especially when I'm working a long period of time in one sitting. All right, so we are ready to start row 6. We're going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to go to that 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Whoops. And work our double crochet. We're going to go to the next chain and we're going to work a double crochet. And we're going to go to the last chain and we're going to work a double crochet. And there is the first block of row 6. We're going to flip our work, and we're going to go right into this chain 3 space and slip stitch to join this block to the row. And we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. We're now going to work 3 double crochets right into that chain 3 space. 1, 2, and 3. And it should be getting a lot easier because now you actually have something to hold on to. My yarn's tangling up just a little bit. It's one thing when you work with fine yarn. Okay. And we're going to go right on over to the next block and we're going to do a slip stitch to join them and chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to work 3 double crochets into that chain 3 space. 1 and 2 and 3. And that completes the third block, 1, 2, 3 of row 6. We're going to join to the next one to do block 4 with a slip stitch. In that chain 3 space, we're going to chain 3, 3, and we're going to work 3 double crochet right into that chain 3 space. And that completes block 4 of row 6. And let's do block 5 with a slip stitch to join in that chain 3 space, chain 3, work 3 double crochets, 1 and 2 and 3. And there is block 5 of row 6. And let's make the last block in row 6. Go right into that chain 3 space with a slip stitch, chain 3, 2, 3, and work 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And there's our blanket so far. And you can see working corner to corner, corner to corner at the top when we finish. But you can see how it's forming. So let's do one more row together. Let's chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to work a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to work a double crochet into the next chain. 1. And then we're going to work a double crochet into the last chain. And there is your first block of row 7. We're now going to flip our work, put our corner in the corner, and we're going to slip stitch right into that chain 3 space of the next block to join, chain 3, and work 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to go right into the next block and do a slip stitch to join, chain 3, and we're going to do 3 double crochets in there. And we're going to join right to the next block with a slip stitch in that chain 3 space, chain 3, and work 3 double crochets. And we're going to go right into the next block and join with a slip stitch, chain 3, and work 3 double crochets in that same chain 3 space. And my yarn is tangling up a little bit. We're going to go right into the next block in that chain 3 space and join with a slip stitch, chain 3 to begin the block, and we're going to do 3 double crochets to create the block. And 3. And we're going to join into the last block of the row with a slip stitch in that chain 3 space, chain 3, and work 3 double crochets into that chain 3 space of the previous block, and 2, and 3. And that completes row 7. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks. So I hope you're enjoying this corner to corner blanket. And so for rows 8 through 30, we're going to just keep doing what we're doing, chaining 6, working in the 4th chain from the hook with a double crochet, go to the next chain, which is the 5th chain from the hook, working a double crochet, and then going to the next chain, which is the 6th chain from the hook, and working a double crochet to create the increase block for the row. Then flipping your work and then joining to the block on the previous row with a slip stitch into the chain 3 space, chaining 3, and then working 3 double crochets all into that same chain 3 space, and then completing that all the way down the row. So go ahead and work up till row 30, and we will come back together next week and we will work on creating the middle part of our blanket. So have a great week. Have fun working your corner to corner blanket. I look forward to us coming back together next week with all of our increase rows completed. Be joyful, stay crafty in your own way, and make your own joyful creations, and have fun making the corner to corner blanket.